They stood in packed stadiums chanting his name. They believed every promise, released the Epstein files, he said, exposed the whole network, he vowed. But now something's changed. The man who wouldn't shut up about transparency suddenly screams hoax. His own supporters are asking the unthinkable question. Wall Street Journal drops a bombshell letter. Elon rushes to defend. Congress pulls subscriptions. Colbert show gets canceled after one joke too many. 3 staffers plead the fifth. Not about their crimes, about something else entirely. The MAGA base is splitting, but I think it's now finally about to heal because the establishment is absolutely panicking after what Pam Bondi just did and what President Trump just filed. And the files everyone wants released, well, might finally see the light of day. We're going to find out exactly what happened right now. So you probably think your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift retirement costs and risk onto you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes, inflation, and chaos. But Americans are taking control with real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties, headaches, or headaches. It's safe, simple, and smart. Visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit and discover how to safeguard your savings. Open a qualified account today and receive 2 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coins absolutely free. That is Next News Gold, your exit from the danger zone, or call that number on the screen, 877-465-5347. And when Colin answers, tell him Gary Franchi said hello. Okay, so we've got some breaking news. This just in. CNN now reporting President Trump is seeking at least $10 billion in damages in his powerhouse lawsuit that was just filed against the Wall Street Journal and others. We have the actual tweet here, President Trump declaring, he says the lawsuit is filed not on my behalf, not only on behalf of your favorite president, me, but also in order to continue standing up for all Americans who no longer tolerate the abusive wrongdoings of the fake news media. Let's listen into CNN here.
Birthday book for Epstein. Breaking news, this then President Trump has officially just filed the lawsuit against Dow Jones, the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, Rupert Murdoch, and others over that Wall Street Journal article that dropped last night about the Jeffrey Epstein birthday book. And I'm going to say this twice so you understand that I'm quoting the actual number here. $10 billion in this case. $10 billion with a B. Trump accuses the defendants of defamation, saying they acted with malicious intent and have caused him overwhelming financial and reputational harm. The Wall Street Journal reported, as I said, that a 50th birthday book for Epstein in 2003, before Epstein became notorious, included a letter bearing Trump's name and a drawing, a cartoon of sorts of a naked woman. President Trump says he had nothing to do with the writing or the drawing. Breaking news is...
Wow. Explosive. This is what it was about. Wall Street Journal's despicable leftist witch hunt unleashes fake Epstein letter to fracture MAGA, prop up weak Democrats as Trump launches a devastating lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal, once a bastion of credible reporting, has disgracefully veered into leftist activism. No surprise. Pushing a fabricated Epstein letter to tarnish President Donald J. Trump. Trump warned Rupert Murdoch and editor Emma Tucker, whose radical leanings are now undeniable, of this fraud, yet they plowed ahead. In response, Trump struck back with a robust lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal. It's not journalism, it's a calculated move to splinter MAGA and prop up the floundering Democrat Party, bereft of policy and reliant on smears. Trump, who barred Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, never visited his island, unlike over 50 Democrat elites, remained unblemished, a fact Obama, Biden, and Harris couldn't exploit due to its absence. Against Trump's tax cuts, low unemployment, Abraham Accords, and ISIS defeat, Democrats offer nothing, no jobs, no border, no peace. Dan Bongino's insight holds no evidence, taints Trump. This Wall Street Journal hit, driven by Emma Tucker's agenda, despite Murdoch's weak assurances, aims to divide us. United MAGA triumphs. Divided, we cede ground. The truth is clear. The charade ends here. President Trump continuing to stack up wins. Here is more President Trump suing the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to sue his ass off. Here is the President Trump's official statement. We have filed a powerhouse lawsuit against everyone involved in publishing the false, malicious, defamatory fake news article in the useless rag that is the Wall Street Journal. This historic legal action is being brought against the so-called authors of this defamation, fully disgrace Wall Street Journal as well as its corporate owners and affiliates with Rupert Murdoch and Robert Thompson, whatever his role is, at the top of the list. We have probably held to account ABC, George Stephanopoulos, CBS, and 60 Minutes, the fake Pulitzer Prizes, and many others who deal in and push disgusting lies and even fraud to the American people. This lawsuit is filed not on behalf of your favorite president, me, but also in order to continue standing up for all Americans who will no longer tolerate the abusive wrongdoings of the fake news media. I hope Rupert and his friends are looking forward to the depositions and testimonies they will have to provide in this case. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Trump's signature sign-off. We will make America great again. $10 billion in damages. Wall Street Journal possesses information and had access to information that showed their statements were false. An overwhelming number of people all over the world read the false and defamatory statements. Okay, so this is the actual filing right here. President Donald Trump, individual, against Dow Jones, Wall Street Journal, News Corp, Keith, Rupert Murdoch, an individual, Rupert Thompson, an individual, Khadija Safdar, an individual, and Joseph Palazzolo, an individual. So he's not just suing the corporations, he's suing the individuals, going for the jugular. President Donald Trump, and by and through his counsel, sues the defendants. Grounded in facts and shaped by experience and defined by editorial standards that don't waver, Dow Jones & Company, publisher of the Wall Street Journal newspaper, proudly proclaims this maxim across the banner of their website, holding itself out to the world as an honest and forthcoming broker of newsworthy material, and yet defendants' malicious, deliberate, and despicable actions that give rise to this action show plainly that they do not practice what they preach. Oh, it is bad. I mean, you'd think that these news agencies would finally learn. I mean, look, go back to the Covington case with CNN. CNN's got another case going down in Florida. It could end them. I mean, so ridiculous. But we do have some other good news. Attorney General Pam Bondi has just officially filed a court motion to unseal the Epstein grand jury testimony files. The time has come. Dom Lucer posting this. Now, we broke the story last night, so it is still developing. President Trump ordered Pam Bondi to file this, and now it has been filed, so we're going to wait and see how this pans out. The United States motion to unseal the grand jury testimonies. You can see right there, it says United States of America versus Jeffrey Epstein, defendant. At the direction of the Attorney General, the Department of Justice hereby moves the court to release grand jury transcripts associated with the above referenced indictment. On July 6, 2025, the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation issued a memorandum describing an exhaustive review undertaken of investigative holdings related to Jeffrey Epstein as the memorandum. That is what was leaked that Sunday night after the 4th of July. The memorandum detailed the steps taken by the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation to determine whether evidence claimed that could predicate an investigation into unchanged third parties. As the memorandum concluded, no such evidence was uncovered during the review. See, this is where it gets interesting. We've been screaming about this since it broke, since that memo broke. Everybody put the pressure on. The public pressure from within MAGA, and then, crazily enough, spilling over into the Democrats. For some reason, they wanted to jump on it too. They believe there's something in there that's going to hurt President Trump. We just want to see the truth. Since July 6th, there have been extensive public interest in the thesis for the memorandum's conclusions. While the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation continue to adhere to the conclusion reached in the memorandum, transparency to the American public is of the utmost importance to this administration. Given the public interest in the investigative work conducted by the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation into Epstein, the Department of Justice moves the court to unseal the underlying grand jury testimony. Boom. Your pressure, our pressure, everyone's pressure. We screamed, we yelled, we kicked, we punched, we did whatever we could to get this out. Pam Bondi still has not lost her job. She's filing this memorandum, this court motion. This is huge. We're going to find out. Let's see what Owen Schwartz is on this. Will we get the Epstein files?
Before we... Oh, hey. What's up, my fellow panicans? Or whoever else you're labeled as these days. You know, I want to address a couple things here with the latest news from the Trump administration and Pam Bondi. But let's just get one thing straight before we delve into that. People are talking about, oh, you're not happy and all this other stuff. I live a very happy, fulfilling life, okay? This is not a personal thing. Let's be perfectly clear about that, okay? So let's just get that out of the way. Secondly, let's just understand the larger picture here. We have the most corrupt government maybe in the world. But your world is the United States of America. So for you, it is the most corrupt government in the world. We have lied to our entire lives about nearly every major historical event. From the assassination of JFK to September 11th, to election results and all kinds of other stuff. And they put these lies in the history books. And we have a corrupt government that steals our money, sends it all over the world, and it winds up back in the pockets of the same people that steal it from us. Okay? So that's what this is about. And we believe Donald Trump may be our only chance to root out this corruption or drain the swamp. So draining the swamp includes arresting elite, powerful, influential pedophiles. So, who was Maxwell and Epstein trafficking people to? And if you don't think that's what was going on, then who were they working for? They were known intelligence assets. And people say, oh, there's no evidence of that. What are you talking about? Trump's labor secretary in his first administration, who worked with the law firms that got Jeffrey Epstein his first sweetheart deal, said he was an intelligence asset. Maxwell was the of Robert Maxwell, a known Mossad asset. Don't come at me when you don't understand the bigger picture. This is about draining the swamp. This is about destroying the deep state.
Let's just hope that whatever comes of this actually does the destruction we want to the deep state. Here's another take. The only problem about releasing Epstein files is Trump. He says here that he's the one who bases campaign rallies on releasing the files. He's the one who never shut up about getting them released. Then he realized his name was there as well. Well, we already knew that. Elon Musk defending Donald Trump from the absolutely bogus Wall Street Journal hit piece. MAGA voice reporting. President Trump says the letter is a fake thing and says he's going to sue the outlet. The letter allegedly involved a hand-drawn woman with text. It doesn't sound like something Trump would say, to be honest. So if there's somebody that knows President Trump, Elon Musk worked closely with him for quite some time, I think he would have an idea. Okay, so we have this take as well. How did real Donald Trump, Kash Patel, and others get MAGA all drop promising to release the Epstein files, only suddenly claim there's nothing in it and or it's a hoax? Why get the FBI to flag Trump mentions and records? Looks like a classic cover-up. So just to be clear, this is a CNBC headline. FBI agents were told to flag any Epstein records that mentioned Trump, according to Senator Durbin. This was released Friday, July 18th by CNBC. Now, I posted this meme earlier today. I'm very proud of it. Took a long time to put that together, to be honest with you. A long time ago, in a swamp far away, Epstein wars a new hope. The MAGA Republic is in a civil war. After years of silence, Emperor Epstein's secret files threaten to destroy the galaxy. Luke Trump Walker faces his greatest test. Will he release the files and bring balance to the force, or has the dark side already corrupted the archives? Princess Pam Bondi races a time with the grand jury, while Darth Schiff and the Democrat empire desperately try to weaponize the scandal. Only Han Bongino and Lando Patel know the truth. The files were altered by the deep state empire. But deep within the outer rim, General Jones Kenobi has activated an ancient beacon alongside rogue operative Cassian Franchi. He prepares to transmit the unedited files to the last free system. Now, 60% of the Rebel Alliance demands answers. Heroes will fall, careers will end, and the fate of the Republic hangs in the balance. Today, the death file drops. Death files drop. May the truth be with you. That's where we're at right now. Andy Biggs also announcing federal legislation canceling the House's subscription to the Wall Street Journal following the Trump Epstein hit piece. Also directed my entire staff to delete their taxpayer-funded Wall Street Journals. And we have this from Tucker Carlson. Daryl Cooper calling for Les Wexner to do an interview with Tucker Carlson. So who is Les Wexner?
Ohio was owned by Jeffrey Epstein.
I want people to keep this in mind as they're listening. As far as I know, and I think this is correct, Wexner, who I believe is still alive, has never been interviewed by the Department of Justice. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's correct as far as I know. Les Wexner, he owns limited brands, L brands. So Victoria's Secret he owns, Abercrombie and Fitch, a lot of the places that you see when you go into the mall. I don't think it's the case anymore, but for a long time, he was the largest clothing manufacturer and distributor in the United States. Billionaire, incredibly wealthy guy. As you said, owns the largest and most expensive house in the state of Ohio, where he lives in Columbus. And the second largest and most expensive house in the state of Ohio was on Jeffrey Epstein and was directly behind Wexner's house.
What?
Yeah. So Wexner, he was introduced to Wexner through this network of people, and very, very quickly becomes. I mean, the nature of their relationship is still kind of a mystery because it's so hard to explain in any terms that you can really draw a plausible story for. Within a very short period of time, he known this Epstein guy like 2 years, right? And I think he had worked at his company for those 2 years and was so squared away, anything like that. We don't exactly know what he was doing during those 2 years, but he knew him 2 years when he signed full power of attorney over his entire estate, Les Wexner, talking billions of dollars, the largest clothing manufacturing corporation in the country, or a company in the country, to the point where this was not a limited power of attorney. Jeffrey Epstein could sign...
Wait, he gives Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney over everything?
Jeffrey Epstein could take out loans in his name. He could sign his tax returns. He had full power of attorney over the Wexner estate. Soon after that, Wexner's mother gets sick, and her spot on the Wexner Foundation board, which is how Wexner disposed of most of his money, opens up. He puts Jeffrey Epstein on there, and he basically runs the board of the foundation for about 15 years, controlling a lot of where that money went and what happened.
15 years?
Yeah. And Wexner alleged, this was way later on, after everything had kind of come out. So who kind of knows? Everybody's kind of trying to distance themselves from Epstein at this point. But he says that Epstein stole a lot of money from him through his, control over the foundation, everything. He probably did, for all I know. But, I'm shocked to learn, and I am learning this, that you're positive Jeffrey Epstein had power of attorney. Yes.
Over.
Yeah, you
Les
can
Wexner.
read that. Yeah. For 16 years, by the way. For 16 years. And so
Has Wexner ever been asked, why would you give?
I don't even think forget the Department of Justice. I don't think he's given any interviews to journalists about it. Maybe he'll come on here and sit in my seat and talk to you.
Wow. That is sus. Big time. Moving right along. AOC calling for unedited graphic Epstein videos with minors to be released. She's completely lost what little mind she has. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, why are you fighting back against releasing what your administration and DOJ know about Epstein? Release the unedited video and the files. Bring it to light. That should clear everything up. She was quote tweeting J.D. Vance. Forgive my language, but the story is complete and utter BS. The Wall Street Journal should be ashamed for publishing it. Where is this letter? Would you be learn? It was, yeah. Green Lives Matter. Trump basically, this is an interesting take because it kind of encapsulates the entire storyline, the coverage that we have been providing you since July 7th. The story has been in the headlines. I mean, how crazy is it that you have a dead guy controlling the news cycle since July 7th? Green Lives Matter. Trump basically forced Democrats to become unhinged conspiracy theorists over Epstein's government blackmail ring, and the Wall Street Journal inexplicably caused himself subsequently to be sued into oblivion over fake Epstein letter, and now Trump will publish grand jury testimony after essentially forcing the world to demand information about Epstein's occult island. If you wanted a mass awakening, this is exactly how you might have it. What a time to be for conspiracy theorists. Think about this. A lot of people will say, and people were saying, that this was the intended outcome all along. This was the long game that they have been playing. Why that memo was released, so that there would be outcry, so Democrats would scream out for it, and then President Trump would go ahead and release it. That this is a big, long game of 4D chess. Very interesting take. Chris Cuomo, 24 hours ago, the left is making a mistake going all in on this Epstein BS. You did nothing to release any information about the case on your watch. Let's hear what Fredo Cuomo has to say.
For anybody else, the left is making a mistake going all in on this Epstein BS. You did nothing to release any information about this case on your watch, okay? And you watched a woman go down for Epstein's crimes and did nothing to add to any sense of accountability for anybody else then. So going all in now is obvious and gratuitous and ugly, okay? And look, I get the play. This is bad for Trump, so we got to be all in there. You need to give the majority reason to believe that you would be better, not that just he is worse. Do you understand? That's the key. Not MAGA sucks, okay? Not that they lied to you, MAGA, so vote for us, because MAGA was formed in part out of desperation for feeling that you on the left lie and don't deliver. So this battle of attrition is just going to create two losers. My suggestion is be less about your opponent and more about restoring opportunity. It's about who is woke, about who is broke. The left is making a mistake.
And I just want to point out that Chris Cuomo's teleprompter is off. I mean, his eye line is off. It's very distracting. He's not even looking at the camera. The guys over at News Nation might need to realign those cameras properly, but he's making a good point, to say the least. Okay, we have some more. There's so much in this. The hoax just landed. Fake news. MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell pushes the insane theory that J.D. Vance is trying to usurp the presidency from Donald Trump. Chuck Callesto, excuse me. Usurp the presidency from Donald Trump over the Wall Street Journal Murdoch Epstein birthday letter hit piece. You'll never hate these Democrat activists pretending to be journalists enough. What is Lawrence O'Donnell? Stop the hammering.
His vice president J.D. Vance is demanding tonight. J.D. Vance, the person who would move up to the presidency, if this issue becomes so difficult that it drives Donald Trump out of the presidency through impeachment or resignation. We have seen this happen to a president before, and Donald Trump has never been weaker. And J.D. Vance of all people, is saying, show us the letter, demanding to see the letter. Donald Trump did not dare to say, where is the letter, in his social media post tonight, which occurred 40 minutes after J.D. Vance's social media post tonight. Donald Trump is not asking to see that letter. Donald Trump doesn't want you to see that letter. But J.D. Vance wants you to see that letter. If J.D. Vance creates a groundswell demand, more and more Trump supporters for the release of that letter, that could do more damage to Donald Trump than anything that has ever happened to Donald Trump in his entire political career. And it's J.D. Vance who's doing this.
So he says J.D. Vance is calling to see the letter. So therefore, J.D. Vance is trying to usurp the presidency, trying to get Trump to resign. Well, the letter is supposedly in a book, a binder of letters that Jeffrey Epstein received for his 50th birthday. And Donald Trump's already suing the Wall Street Journal over it for $10 billion. And he's already called the letter a hoax, a fraudulently written letter. You don't just go around. I mean, if the letter was real, I think the lawsuit would be very different. Are you catching my drift here? Because as you saw in Trump's Truth Social post, he says, get ready for the depositions. Get ready. He's going to drag all these people through the mud over this letter. And if it was in fact real, would he be suing them? I don't think so. Man, this Epstein thing has just gone totally nuts. Joe Ram writes, you're witnessing the systematic destruction of the old guard. The mainstream media is dead. Trump is playing chess while they play checkers.
Journal released. Now, I'm Austin Westfall, a live look at the White House, where it's just past 10:30 in the nation's capital. All right, let's get the latest on Epstein, the situation that continues to unfold. We do know that the Wall Street released some exclusive reporting today, and President Trump responding to that reporting with this on Truth Social. He says the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President.
Okay, we read this already.
And others, desperation, Hillary, and based on the ridiculous amount of publicity in Crooked Hillary and other radical left lunatics years ago, Trump says on Truth Social. He finishes by saying it certainly would not have sat in a file waiting for Trump to have won 3 elections. This is yet another example of fake news. The president posting all of this on Truth Social, following it up with, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I've asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam, perpetuated by the Democrats, should end right now, the president says. Pam Bondi then responding to that, saying, President Trump, we are ready to move the court to unseal the grand jury transcripts. A lot to unpack.
And that's exactly what just happened. She filed it. It's going through the court system now, and we will be watching it very closely. But it looks like Jeffrey Epstein may have claimed yet another victim. Did you hear about this? I'm going to get to this, who Jeffrey Epstein's latest victim is. You guys are going to be shocked when you learn. Here's Caitlin Collins, Senator Bernie Moreno, whether releasing select grand jury material will be enough to satisfy the infuriated MAGA base.
Here's a sad reality.
This post by the president tonight about pertinent grand jury information, do you think that's going to be sufficient for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, President Trump has been very clear. The Democrats would have weaponized this against him for years if this was anything to do with President Trump. But here's the reality. Here's a sad reality, honestly, is Democrats with the media have tried to change the topic change the topic from the fact that we have the most secure border in American history, that we just passed the most consequential bill that puts $7,500 in the pockets of working Americans, that we've lowered inflation, egg prices are down, gas prices are down, we have stability all over the world, we're starting to cut the deficit. We just passed the first crypto.
Yes, we understand how great President Trump is. We're not going to forget that. But we do have to bring up who Epstein's latest victim is. Who is it? Well, we found out now. Stephen Colbert, a victim of Jeffrey Epstein. Stephen Colbert on Trump's Epstein controversy, desperately looking for a scapegoat. 24 hours ago, Stephen Colbert's last opening monologue was about Jeffrey Epstein and how he had an elite network to traffic to. The clip is going viral after this announcer. They are canceling Colbert's late night show. Colbert says people are afraid that he's going to name names. But before he can, he mysteriously dies right before being taken off watch in a federal prison during the administration of a guy who was blocking the release of the information. Boring. Well, so Stephen Colbert touched the third rail, apparently, and now his show is canceled. President Trump clowning on Stephen Colbert for getting his show canceled. His talent was even less than his ratings. Kimmel is next. He has even less talent than Colbert. Greg Gutfeld is better than all of them, including the moron on NBC who ruined The Tonight Show. Here's Trump's take. I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was less than his ratings. Here we have Jesse Waters' take.
Just days after CBS just canceled The Late Night with Stephen Colbert. Just days after Colbert took a swing at his own network for settling with Trump. Listen.
This kind of complicated financial settlement with a sitting government official has a technical name in legal circles. It's big fat bribe. This all comes as paying that once guy Stephen Colbert.
The network claims it was a purely financial decision, and Colbert's last show will be next spring. CBS just canceled.
Next spring, huh? 1 down, 3 to go. When you do a show that attacks half of America every night and you don't have conservatives on, and by the way, you're not funny, but attacking half of America and your ratings suck, you might lose your show. Ben Ferguson argues with the panel over why Stephen Colbert was canceled. Or was he canceled because he brought up the Epstein list? Let's find out.
A lot of reasons why the massive part of the conversation that's been completely omitted from this, and that is when you do a show that attacks half of America every night and you don't have conservatives on, and by the way, you're not funny, but attacking half of America and your ratings suck, you might lose your show.
There's a lot of reasons why the Colbert.
I mean,
but there's a lot of reasons why the Colbert ratings are not working out that have nothing to do with the political divide you're talking about.
But it's constant. He's having on Democrats to trash Trump. He's constantly been trashing conservatives. He referred to Donald Trump as a Nazi lover in 2017.
You said that does make half of the country happy.
Right, but you alienate half the country.
But you don't need to have the whole country watching your show. You only need half the country. That's a great show.
The problem is he wasn't funny anymore. Why is Shane Gillis? By the way, why is Shane Gillis?
Here's the corollary to what you're saying. Like the other side of it is that, there are shows that I will not name that spend their time attacking liberals, or all their time attacking liberals.
That's one thing.
All their time attacking liberals, and it doesn't have any impact on their ratings whatsoever. So to raise,
he hates guys like us.
So to Ray's point, I don't necessarily think that's really on the ratings front. I don't really think that's really what matters.
Are his ratings good? They're dismal. He's getting beaten by a cable news late night show. Let's be clear about that.
The real problem is more like Netflix and the reasons what the democratization of the entire television landscape. There are so many more options for people to watch. That's going to cut into
and that can be part of it. But let's go back to, you have a guy that does a show that's funnier on cable.
Yeah, but what about his touching of the third rail? CNN and Stelter are very worked up about Colbert getting canned by CBS. Brian Stelter. That's my Mark Dice interpretation.
On Monday, on. I mean, Brian, CBS is saying this is a financial decision. It is certainly, the timing of this is kind of stunning.
Greg, from the optics standpoint, the timing could not be worse for CBS. Colbert is such an outspoken Trump critic. He's just back from vacation, and as he showed there on Monday, on his first night back from vacation, he's also a thorn in his parent company's side. So this looks to a lot of Colbert's fans like another form of capitulation by CBS to the President of the United States. If you look at Colbert's Instagram page already, his fans are pouring out and blaming CBS for this. Here's the reporting that I have just in the past few minutes, Anderson, about this financial explanation. Think back to 2023 when the Late Late Show with James Corden went off the air. I reported at the time that that show had become unprofitable, that CBS was not able to sell enough ads to make that show profitable. Well, that is now the case for Colbert as well. I'm told by a source close to the network that the Late Show with Stephen Colbert is now technically unprofitable. That does give the company a financial to end the show starting in May 2026. However, it's not as if Colbert was given a chance to take a pay cut.
Okay, enough, Brian. So, in my opinion, I think Jeffrey Epstein has claimed his last victim. So why does all this matter? It's time for my final thought. If you'd like this show, if you like what we're doing here, hit subscribe. So this matters because we're watching the destruction of political accountability in real time. Yes, Trump transparency. He made releasing those files a cornerstone promise, and now he is making good on that promise. And now we have Republicans canceling newspaper subscriptions while Democrats are suddenly becoming Epstein truthers. The establishment media that ignored this story for decades suddenly can't stop talking about it. Why? Because they smell blood in the water. They think they found Trump's weakness, but here's what they don't understand. The American people don't care about partisan games anymore. We just want the truth of it all. Every name, every connection, every crime. Les Wexner? Who's that? What's his connection? The client list remains hidden. Okay. But now we have court filings that are going to release the grand jury testimonies. What will we find in those testimonies? So here's my question for you. With respect to this grand jury testimony, and more, should Trump release everything in the Epstein files, even if it burns down both parties? Drop a yes or a no. Let's have a conversation down below. And make sure you check out our merch shop for gear that triggers the establishment. You can help us expose the auto pen conspiracy. You can support Alligator Alcatraz or pick your favorite member of the administration in our American Badass series at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, where you can trigger a liberal today.
How dare you!